The two themes that are starting to pop up for me just listening to all of you present are intentionality around equity. It's not an accident that you're making progress on these things, and the real importance of committed leadership. So for those of us in the room and the many on Zoom land, one of the things that's coming up for me are, how do you lead that change? What are the lessons that you have learned, each of you, as you've moved your way steadily through this intentional change, moving beyond the traditional paradigm of economic development and broadening this view of development as inclusive of health and well-being? What lessons have you learned along that journey that you might be able to share with all those listening?
Yeah, I feel like I should just say ditto to what Mayor May and Mayor Ingram said, but let me add a little bit of to what we've experienced here in San Antonio. Language access, access to information is critically important, and so ensuring that you're meeting people where they are, which means that in many cases the most disadvantaged members of our community aren't getting the information that you think is basic. So what we've had to do is rely on community health workers to really establish a connection point on just about every city service, public service that's available, actually going to people, knocking on their doors, et cetera. Also because there's a lot of trust to be built back in those communities. Believe very strongly that equity begins with having a voice. And so ensuring that we're doing everything we can to provide that voice, provide a space for people to speak out is really important. Now, the other challenge is something that Mayor Ingram said as well, which is that this is all being done in a political space. Equity and the lack of equity can't be bridged overnight. It's not going to happen within a single budget. It's not going to happen, frankly, within our times in office. And so maintaining a level of commitment on the part of political leadership is absolutely vital. Conditioning our community to have uncomfortable conversations about addressing these challenges is critically important. Our greatest concern is that, it takes a level of sobriety in the equity conversation to be able to continue it over the course of time that's required to address it, which is a very long time. And so, we want to make sure that people are educated about what redlining means. And while it may not be their fault, they may benefit, disproportionately from some aspects of life. It's incumbent upon all of us to address those things together. Having been through a pandemic is no better illustration of why. For instance, if we didn't get out into the neighborhoods that frankly are some of the lowest socioeconomic zip codes in our community, if we didn't put extra effort to make sure that they had access to vaccinations, to information about how to protect their families, et cetera, people in our entire community would feel the effects of that. So that's a great view into why it's important for us to think as a family, as a whole community, and ensure that everyone is able to thrive. And that's going to require allocating additional time, resources, and effort into areas that have been left behind for far too long.